Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Lisa Oligas. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and in this edition, we discuss efforts to ensure women can get mammograms to provide early detection. We hear from a survivor and a woman currently battling breast cancer, and we visit with an MSSU sorority working to support the cause. We begin our conversation with Brinley Berge with Hope for You Breast Cancer Foundation. It's a local charity supporting areas of the 4 states not currently served by the Susan G. Komen for the Cure organization. Welcome, Brinley.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you having us.
Now, the HOPE in Hope for You stands for Help, Outreach, Prevent, and Educate. There is still time to register for a big event you have coming up, the Race for Hope. Tell us about that.
Yes, absolutely. So one of our biggest fundraisers every year is the Race for Hope. It's typically in October. This year it's October 28th. It is in downtown Joplin, so we're hoping to have a big turnout from the local community. There's still time to register. It's $35 for anyone, and then survivors do get a discount at $15. One of my favorite things, if you come to anything, you don't even have to be a runner or a walker or anything. You can just come and support, but we do a really cool ceremony before the race begins. It starts at about 7:30, and it's a survivor ceremony for local survivors or just to show our support to them, even if you're battling currently.
Yeah. So what happens at the ceremony? Is it a candle ceremony or a balloon kind of thing?
So they actually are the ones who start our race. So they kind of line up in a big area. We have a moment of silence, and then they're the ones who lead us off for the beginning of the race. So,
and this is all starting at the Spiva Park in downtown?
So it's starting downtown Joplin. Yes, at Spiva Park. So the race itself starts at 8, but if you can be there at 7:30 for the ceremony, it's incredibly powerful.
And you can even do some day of registration early in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. So that starts about 6:45, I believe. If you go to hopeforyouBCF.org/raceforhope, you can get some more information on the race.
So, and is it this, I mean, you can also, you don't have to run, you can walk. Is it a 5K? What's the length?
Yes, so there is a 5K that you can run or walk, I mean, whatever you prefer. And then there's also a 1-mile walk. So either one of those. And like I said, you don't have to be a runner, you don't have to be a walker. I'm certainly not a runner, but I participate every year just because it's fun and we have a great time.
We talked about what HOPE stands for, and let's dive into that a little more. What would you say is at the heart of your mission? I know a lot of it is local.
Absolutely. So one of the most important things for us is that all of the money we raise stays local. We are an all volunteer board. We're not paid staff. So all the money we raise goes back into the community. And so that, like I said, that's just super important to us. We do that by raising money and then donating it back to our local hospitals.
So how do they utilize it, and what ways do they use that money?
So typically they provide mammograms for underinsured or uninsured women. We also donate to Show Me Healthy Women, and all of the money donated to them goes directly into gas cards. So for example, a lot of times women, when it comes to taking care of themselves, can kind of put themselves on the back. Yes. So that's a way that we can support them during that time, because they have to get to checkup appointments, to chemotherapy, to even go get a mammogram. So
and sometimes you might have to pay for like an Uber or something if you're not supposed to drive after treatment.
Absolutely.
Or you need somebody to ride with you, and that's not always possible for
Absolutely,
someone.
Yes. So that's super great that Show Me Healthy Women partners with us to do that as well.
Part of your message is to educate. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I mean, my husband always jokes, well, who isn't aware of breast cancer?
Right.
We all know it exists, but there are things we need to know to help catch it early.
Yes, absolutely. Early detection is one of the most important things, and something we stress often. And we help do that by, like I said, donating to the local hospitals who provide those mammograms. And
you can educate folks about the resources that are out there.
Absolutely.
Even just the fact that you guys exist. as a help to women.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that we do exist. You know, you hear about big organizations, and sometimes we have people often actually come to us and say, oh, well, we just have been donating to, you know, this big organization because that's, you know, what we've heard.
Right.
So they don't even know about us sometimes. And I think it's important that we are in the community, showing a local presence. One of the ways we do show that local presence is we partner with some of the local area high schools, and their pink events, their pink games. So some teams have, you know, pink jerseys, and they have raffles and raise money and then donate that to us. So that's been fun.
And they can still do that. There's plenty of time if they wanted to have an event at their school.
Yes, absolutely. And even local businesses, schools, anyone. If you guys have a local pink event, or you know of somebody raising money for breast cancer and you're just not sure who to donate to, please contact us. We'd love to tell you more about our organization and come alongside you in that.
It affects 1 in 8 women. So there are probably plenty of people who, when it happens, they say, we need to do something. And then they just don't know exactly what to do or how to help. So I know we've even had at MSSU, we had the pork and pickleball event. Was that a success?
Oh, it was absolutely a success. It was so much fun. Even I got to learn a little bit more about pickleball, and I think everyone had a great time. So we're very thankful that Missouri Southern decided to choose our nonprofit this year to donate to.
I know that every year they work with the Joplin Outlaws. So anybody who likes baseball, you can go to those games and help support. Does that make a big difference when you have an event out in the community?
Yes, it gets the local community involved. Like I said, one of our biggest things is keeping it local, getting the community involved, having them know that we're here. I know the Outlaws, their players really enjoy that too, because they get to donate their jerseys, and it's a great event. It's a fun event for them and for our local community.
All right, Brinley Berge, thank you for telling us all about that.
Thank you so much.
Well, there is still time to register for the Race for Hope. Here's information as we go to break. A breast cancer diagnosis is a life-changing experience. According to the American Cancer Society, there is a 1 in 8 chance a woman will develop breast cancer. And breast cancer accounts for about 30% of all new female cancers each year. For this year, 2023, an estimated 297,790 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women. Breast cancer death rates have been decreasing steadily since 1989 for an overall decline of 43% through 2022. Now that's good news for those diagnosed who face what can be a dramatic journey. The key to surviving can be finding it early, and there's better treatments today. Joining us to discuss that journey and its impact are Pat Lapira, a survivor and retired MSSU coach and faculty member, and Judy Schneider, a breast cancer patient who works with the kinesiology department here at MSSU. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Judy, if you don't mind, I'd like to begin with you because you are currently fighting breast cancer, and we wish you success in that.
Thank you.
Can you share what it was like when you first got diagnosed?
Well, it was, when I got the first news, I thought, oh, everybody said, oh, it won't be anything. It'll be false negative. And I had convinced myself it would be nothing. And then I got the information, and it came on the My Mercy account you can get on your phone, which is, carcinoma is a very hard word to read by yourself. But within an hour, I was sitting in my nurse navigator's office, my husband and I, and she spent 2 hours with us telling us everything we would want to know. And it was devastating. I mean, I really did. My chin quivered, I cried, and then we went right on, and we jumped right in to a long but very satisfying and very effective treatment plan.
Was it important to have your husband there? Because sometimes when you hear devastating news, you can't focus on information. I mean, were you like, I don't even know if I can absorb this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one thing I've said time and time again. I can't imagine going through this without a huge circle of friends and family. That has really been my support. I couldn't have done it without Mike. There are days that he literally just talked me through it and said, "Yes, you can do this. This is not that bad. We're going to get through it." And everyone needs that.
Pat, you're a 17-year survivor, but you're still heavily actively involved. Is it life-changing in that way that once you've had it, you're kind of on a mission?
I hadn't really been asked that before, but I guess so. I think what you realize is, you got it. I think the very first time you're told you have breast cancer, you immediately think, why me? But then within 30 seconds, I knew the statistics that you mentioned at the beginning, which is 1 in 8. So then I said, why not me? I mean, you think about it that way. So I think, when you're going through it, all the treatment and the years and of that, you don't think about now what do I do with this experience. But I think once you realize that you are hope for folks. I mean, I can remember when I got diagnosed and I saw somebody that said, I'm a 2-year survivor. I'm like, yes. And then somebody said, I'm a 5-year survivor. You go, yes. And so now Judy's sitting here by me and I'm a 17-year survivor. So I think you realize that you are hope for so many women, and whatever you can do to get that out there, whatever my role can be. And I think Hope for You was a perfect opportunity for me.
Does that help you, Judy, knowing that you have folks like Pat to look to?
Absolutely. And it's just, even sitting there when you're in the infusion lab, when you're getting chemotherapy, you talk to people who have been under treatment, and they will continue to be under treatment their whole life. And we were just saying, there are a lot of people that live with cancer. And the new drugs now that are coming out every year, we will, talk about it and say, wow, that's a wonderful drug. Keytruda is one of them. It boosts your own immune system, so your own immune system is fighting cancer, and things like that are just wonderful.
Well, and I think back to, we're talking about hope, but you don't know that like for example, I was just telling Judy, she hosted, her and Mike, a party for me for my 10-year breast cancer survivor. Well, during that party, she had no idea that someday she'd have it. Right. I can remember I spoke at a MOA for Physical Education State Conference about breast cancer, and a girl came up to me the next year and said, oh my gosh, I came to your speech or your presentation having no idea that in a few months I would be diagnosed. And she said, I can't tell you how many times I went back to that. So you have no idea that you're going to be, that perhaps somebody's going to cross your path and you're going to wind up with that. So
yeah, it's important to kind of listen and take in and realize it could be your reality. I mean, like Brinley, who we just had on, is not a cancer patient, but she still feels called, because you never know somewhere down the line. I mean, many of the women who get breast cancer are over 60, so there's still that chance for all of us to have it. Let's talk about the emotional toll. I mean, this is also Mental Health Awareness Month. There is that fear. It is a diagnosis that does have that hanging over. I mean, we said more women are living with cancer, but is there a fear that you experience?
Well, I think everyone has that if you allow yourself to go there. But it's not that you can't, but you have to focus on the positive. And, as all of us can say, I teach ballroom dance, and I have that has been a real respite for me. It lifts my spirits even when I am dragging. I will go to class, and doing that and being with those dear close friends, it really keeps you up, and you have to stay positive. There are bad days, but you find a way, whether it's your religion or your friends or walking in nature always does it for me, reading, whatever it is, that you keep yourself up.
You mentioned Keytruda. There are lots of medications. What is your path? I mean, you have a diagnosis now, so chemotherapy can be included, radiation. Is in there for you, or do you have to go a different route?
My tumor was and is triple negative, which means it's not estrogen or progesterone or HR2 reactive. They kind of don't know quite what to do with this. I'm sure a doctor can explain that better. But they have done 24 weeks of chemotherapy, 2 different rounds of it. And then we did a lumpectomy, and now we're going to go into a month of radiation, which will be daily.
Yeah.
So they're going to get it. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it.
You bet, yeah. So, and then for you, how was it detected? I know Pat had told me once before. Tell me, I mean, how did you detect it, and how important are mammograms?
Well, mine was a chigger bite.
Oh.
I mean, I had just had a mammogram and they found nothing.
Wow.
So it's very important for self-examination too. And I just went to the doctor, and then it went on the real fast track. I mean, once they think it's cancer, you get information and tests very quickly. And I can't applaud Mercy Hospital enough. I mean, I'm sure all the hospitals are very good at it, but that's my experience. I know after the lumpectomy, which was on a Thursday, I received a text on Saturday evening saying that the lymph nodes were clear. And that meant so much to me.
Because you would have worried about it till Monday.
Absolutely. And I have a amazing person, Christina Leggett, who is my nurse navigator, that the hospital assigns a person to be with you. She will go to appointments with me. I have her phone number. When I had COVID, I called her on a Saturday night. She said, Judy, get to the ER. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm calling Dr. Dahlia.
Yeah.
And it just meant everything to have
that connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, a little extra personal care.
Very
support
much.
when you're worried. So, and Pat, tell us about your detection and why it's so important for women to get the mammogram.
I was similar, really, to Judy. I had a mammogram that didn't pick it up, and I felt it. And but yeah, I think self-exams are very critical. But I think most people, the mammograms will pick it up, especially the 3D mammograms. At the time, I didn't have that type.
Right.
But you were talking about emotional, and I think at first, and after 17 years, I don't think about it as much, but I can tell you that when you're just getting over treatment and kind of going, and the whole concept is get it all. You don't want it to come back. So I did everything. I had the mastectomy, I had the chemo, I had the radiation, I had 10 years of, Femara, tamoxifen, everything. Because my whole deal was, I don't want to have any regrets. If it comes back somewhere, I don't want to say, well, I wish I had done blank. But I think what happens is you cough and think, oh no.
Every little thing.
And I don't do that anymore when I cough. But back then, when I would cough, I think, no, not the lungs, or something would hurt, and I go, no, not the bones. It just happens. So I don't know whether you call that emotional or fear or whatever. It's just almost normal because you see, that there's a high chance of recurrence, and so you just do everything you can to keep it from coming back.
Well, thank you both for sharing your journeys and the support that you give to Hope for You and for other women. We appreciate you being here.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
When we come back, we will chat with members of the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority, which makes breast cancer education and awareness its national philanthropy. But first, we learn from a cancer physician about treatments available and the hope they can bring for those with breast cancer.
So the biggest message for Breast Cancer Awareness Month is for women to get their screening mammograms. We know that breast cancer affects 1 in 8 women in the United States, so it is very important to try to catch these earlier so that we can cure more of these breast cancers.
We met with Dr. Samir Dahlia at the Mercy Infusion Center, where many breast cancer patients receive chemotherapy, treatment that can take a toll on patients. But he says advancements in medications are bringing change.
What we've seen over the last 10 or 15 years is an influx of drugs that have been approved for breast cancer, both in the early stages where we can cure it and also in the stages where we might not be able to cure it. But what this has done to breast cancer in general is we have ways to potentially cure more women and then also have more and more drugs where we can keep women living longer over time.
While they haven't solved how to prevent women from losing their hair, there's more help for nausea and even some drugs that can limit their time at the infusion center.
You know, chemotherapy and infusions and being in a center can affect you both, you know, physically and also psychologically, because you're coming back into the doctor's office a lot. When you're on a pill chemotherapy, even though you might have some side effects from that pill chemotherapy, at least you're at home most of the time, and most of the time you're feeling pretty good.
Medication isn't the only thing that has changed over the years in breast cancer care, so have mammograms.
In mammography, it used to be that we would do 2-dimensional mammograms, and now we're doing 3-dimensional mammograms, and we're also doing something called advanced breast ultrasound for women who have dense breast tissue. 3D mammograms are really now the standard in the United States. So we here have that 3D service, and that's the only type of mammogram that we do. It picks up smaller tumors in more women. So we are catching more breast cancers earlier, which allows women to either have less treatment or a better chance for cure.
And what if a woman has dense breasts?
So this is where advanced breast ultrasound technology, or something called ABUS, comes in. A mammogram plus an ABUS picks up more tumors or lesions or concerning spots on a breast than mammography alone in somebody who has dense breast tissue.
Dr. Dahlia says all women should continue getting mammograms, even seniors, if they are healthy overall. And he says don't let money or fear stand in the way.
You know, a lot of women do think that, hey, maybe I can't afford a mammogram, or I may not be able to afford something. I will let you know that our local area has different organizations like Hope for You and the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks that both will provide free services to women who either need a mammogram or have breast cancer. So, you know, don't let money be a reason that you don't get a screening mammography. And here at Mercy, about 4 times a year, we have clinics that we run where we have free mammograms for women who cannot afford them.
Once diagnosed, nurse navigators help patients with every step of their treatment path.
Because it can be tough. You might have to see a plastic surgeon, you may see a general surgeon, you might see a radiation oncologist, you might see a medical oncologist, you're probably going to have some biopsies. You're seeing a lot of different people, and it's really hard to coordinate all of that, and it can be really overwhelming.
They try to make the cancer center a comfortable place to heal, and Dr. Dahlia says finding support and hope are important.
You know, attitude is a big deal, and we know in cancer in general that having a positive outlook in what's happening will actually probably have you have less side effects during your treatments. It just gets you through things better.
The Zeta Tau Alpha Foundation funds scholarships, educational and leadership development programming, and encourages everyone to think pink with breast cancer education and awareness efforts. That includes national partnerships with the NFL, the American Cancer Society, and the grant-making organization called Bright Pink. Now, joining our Newsmakers conversation now is the president of the MSSU chapter of Zeta Tau Alpha, Claire Howe, and Zeta member Ashlyn Patrick. Thank you both for being here.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yes, this is exciting.
Yes.
So you guys have events planned, and you do a lot to tie in with sporting events. So talk to us about what you have planned coming up for football games and how that makes a difference. You're raising funds. What all are you doing at the events?
Absolutely. So coming up on the 14th is the Pink Out football game that Missouri Southern hosts. And at the Pink Out game, we'll be serving pink pancakes beforehand for people to come donate and get. We'll also be hanging out pink shirts that say Beat Pitt State because it's the big Pitt State rival game.
Right. Yes.
And we have gotten sponsors to fund those shirts, so they'll be completely free to hand out to the first people that show up at the game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So by having that, I mean, that's not necessarily raising funds for you, but it's helping get the word out. And
Yes.
Tell us about the philanthropy. What's your mission when it comes to Zeta?
Yes, so Zeta's national mission is really all about raising awareness and funding as well. Any of the funds that we do raise go to the foundation, and they use that to fund research. And a lot of it also goes back to just individual patients.
Okay. So you were also active in Third Thursday. What was your message there? What were you doing at Third Thursday?
So Third Thursday is really, again, about awareness, getting it out to community members. Ashlyn, if you want to talk about what we did last year.
At Third Thursday? Yeah. Well, we just have a table set up, and like she said, it's about raising funds and awareness. So we hand out pink ribbons, we have cookies and things like that, so people come stop at our table. We tell them about our organization and what we do with the Pink Out, who we partner with, and what the funds go for and everything.
Why is it important to you? I mean, you're women, 1 in 8 could get breast cancer. Do you ever think about that, or are there people in your life that you worry about?
Absolutely. So I have someone close to me actually who had breast cancer. So I know some of the girls in our organization have someone close to them. Some don't, but like you said, it affects 1 in 8 women, which is a huge statistic. So I think just, especially being in Zeta Tau Alpha, it's a sisterhood, and we like women supporting women. So it's just really important for us to raise awareness.
Do you think it also helps give men, when you're at the sporting games, a better understanding of this illness and the support even that they can have when you're, at games and you have the crowds?
For sure. I think especially like handing out the Pink Out shirts, you see all this pink in the crowd and you're wondering about it. So anyone, I think, who takes the time to understand it, I can for sure.
Yeah, there was a line going around, real men wear pink.
Right,
so
yeah,
it's out there.
exactly.
And men can get breast cancer,
Yeah,
but it is much more
sure.
predominantly among women.
For sure.
And I think the biggest thing is really just women supporting women, and that's something that our national Zeta really focuses on, is just supporting women, even if you don't have a personal connection. Coming into the chapter, I didn't have a personal connection, but I learned so much about it, and it became very dear to my heart because we do focus so much on it.
Yeah. And mammograms are usually recommended as women start to get older, but breast self-exam, as we heard from our other guest, can be a way that women do find their breast cancer. Is that something you guys think women your age should start thinking about so they get in the habit?
For sure. I think being in Zeta, you don't really realize the impact of breast cancer. So you learn a lot about it and learn about the mammograms and getting checked out early, and so it's really important.
So talk to me about, you said you sometimes also are involved in patient support. In what ways does the sorority help in that way?
I actually had the chance to go to our national convention last summer, and the foundation president came and spoke to us, and they had actually just funded this big research project for early detection and just kind of making mammograms better. So truthfully, it's going back to patients in so many ways. Just helping get better technology through that research.
Yes, 3D mammograms have certainly revolutionized it, and then they also use sonograms and ultrasound. So You're right, the technology is something that can be expensive, and having supports like yours are really important.
Yeah, and it's great hearing all the stories of the women who did the mammograms and got the early detection and were able to figure out that they had breast cancer, and it saved their lives. So it's really cool to see stuff like that.
How does it feel to be part of a movement to support women?
It's very rewarding, for sure. Just women supporting women.
It's super nice being at our events, and you'll strike up a conversation with someone and it has affected them in a very personal way, and just getting to have that conversation with them and just see the impact of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So we have the football game on the 14th, but there are other Pink Out games throughout the year, correct?
Yes, so in the spring semester, they'll have the football or basketball game, and I believe they also do a volleyball game as well.
All right, coming up soon.
Yeah.
Well, thank you girls for sharing us all about Zeta.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. We hope you will take care of yourself and get a mammogram. And when you see a pink event, show your support. Thanks to all our guests for sharing their information and stories, and thank you for watching.